Hope everyone is doing well today. I will have someone who will join me very soon. So, welcome to our weekly meeting, Thriving in Sobriety. A meeting that I actually love to come on and just have because I feel like I'm always going back to roots, going back to the sobriety community, the sober community. So I'm Ginsburg, Ginsburg coming on with me because she's one of my favorites. And also because today is 2 years for Brittany. Yay!
Baby. I'm actually, sorry, I'm just going to turn off.
She's going to turn off her Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Are you walking like this today? Like two?
Yep.
Congratulations, Brittany. Did you think that you would get to that 2 years?
No, not at all. And actually, I have like a screenshot from when I hit 90 days, and it was like, I never thought I would get to 90 days. So it's just insane to be 2 years. I think I'm like in shock.
It's so awesome. And you know what I find beautiful is that and that probably will help people who are just starting. When you're just starting and you're thinking 2 years, you're like, never will I spend 2 years without drinking. Anyway, for me, when I was thinking a year even, I was just like, no, I was panicking at the idea that I wouldn't touch alcohol for a year. So imagine two. You really have to take it one day at a time,
Yes.
And it's so rewarding when you hit those numbers.
It really is. And it's funny that you said the one day at a time thing, because even today, like, one of the biggest lessons I've learned in this journey is just that all of these sayings and like the things that I used to think were so corny and annoying to hear in treatment and therapy, those are the little sayings that even get me through 2 years later. Like today I noticed I was having like anxiety, and it's just because of the time, like it's a anniversary. So I feel like I've like gone back to the whole like one day at a time. Literally on my drive to work, I'm like, all right, it's just today. I just have to get through today. Like my brain automatically goes to like, tomorrow I'm filming for this new thing that's happening, and I'm so afraid, but I don't even have to worry about that right now because it's just today. So it's interesting to me that like these little lessons that we learn, they seem like so small and little, but then I can apply them to daily life even now. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, and I like how you said, like for me too, when I heard that, I was like, this is so corny. Like maybe you need to tell yourself that. I don't need that. But it's good that we hear it because it plants seeds in our brain. But honestly, like recovering or not, everyone should live one day at a time because yes, nothing exists but now.
Yeah.
And you said it way better than I was even going to say. Nothing exists but now. The past is the past, future is the future. The present moment is the only thing we have. So recovery or not, we should really live one day at a time, because the past, usually when you live in your past, you live in regrets, or you live in nostalgia of like, oh, I wish I was still there. It's gone. And then the future, that's where the anxiety comes, the anxiety, the stress, because you can't predict and you don't know whether it be a good situation that you're looking forward to. Like tomorrow you're filming will probably be like super exciting, but for now, like thinking about it, not being in it and not controlling anything about it because you can't, you're not there, creates anxiety.
Right. Yes, exactly. So it's like, just get through the day and we're good.
Yeah. And you have to trust yourself as well. So I was just to address this situation here, you have to trust yourself that you are super good, Brittany, and that you're brilliant. You achieved so many things. You keep control of the situation when you're in a situation. You deal with stress, you know what to say. So just trust yourself. It's going to be, I'm sure you're going to be amazing tomorrow, and it's going to be like awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
So what is it for?
So I live in well, I'm from Chelmsford. I don't live there, but it's a town in Massachusetts where actually have at a middle school that I used to go to a whole studio that I didn't realize that anyone has access to use this studio and record, and they will send it out on the local TV network, but then also upload it on YouTube, and then we have access to it, so we can put it out wherever we want. So I'm just excited because I'm like, cool. If you're gonna give me a platform for people to listen, then great, I'll take it. So yeah, we're gonna be just like going over recovery stuff, like breaking stigmas. And I kind of feel like in the suburbs, there's always just like this, like I keep saying, like mask that people are painting that everything's so perfect. And we need to just be more willing to accept that no one did anything wrong if they're in addiction. Like, it doesn't mean necessarily that their parents brought them up bad or that they weren't educated or anything. So like, it's just breaking those stigmas and putting a new face to an addict. And if I got to do it, I will.
Yeah, and you know what? You're a gorgeous face to put to that. It's weird what I just said there because I don't want to say gorgeous face to put to an addict, but it's just you're the good example of you're not the person on the side of the street with their paper bag and their alcohol hiding in it, and you had your life together and you were a cheerleader, which I used to think cheerleaders were just like pom-poms until my daughter watched a show, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how disciplined they need to be and how much in shape. So I don't even understand how you drank during those years and got flipped in the air and all of that. But point is, you know, you're not the typical, well, there's no typical, and that's the point.
Right.
There's no typical. Like I remember when I went to rehab, you know, there was a cardiologist with me in the group. There was a famous singer. There was someone who played in the symphonic orchestra in Montreal. He was like, I think he was a violinist or whatever. There was a single mom on welfare. There was a guy who was a millionaire. Like he would come with his big whatever car he had. I don't know, I'm not a car person. But point is, you know, like, and for me, the one that struck me the most was a cardiologist. I was just like, how can he be in that situation? And I mean, he operates on open hearts in open heart surgery. And he was telling us how sometimes his mind was blurred. You know, you don't want to be that patient. But my point is, like, I was thinking, he knows how bad it is for the health. He knows exactly what to do to get out of it. He has all the knowledge. He practices such a you know, life threatening, I should say, operations or whatever. It was not like me, like I was in sales. If I missed my sales, well, what? You know him, it's like, well, if you miss the artery, you know, it's like, so, but I remember thinking like, what is he doing here? And I mean, it was super taboo. He couldn't tell anyone, no one knew around him. But point is, there's no typical person.
Right. Yeah. And that's like the biggest stigma I'm trying to break, because for years of my life, I just like ran around this merry-go-round telling myself like, no, it's not a problem. I can just like X out that person that's saying it's a problem. Like, oh, this person thinks I'm out of control. Cool. I have a new group of friends right over here. So I don't know. It's just like now we're able to like slow it down and actually like get through things.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you a question. Maybe it's going to be a weird question, but I know that for me that was, and you know, I was not where you are at 2 years old. I was, for me, my first years of sobriety, I was mad, and I was not emotionally sober. So I was dry, but I was pissed that I was dry, and I was not happy to see people around. But I know that when some good stuff starting happening to me, I was even more mad because I was just like, well, I can't even celebrate, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So it was just like, I remember my first birthday, I was just like, I don't want anyone to wish me happy birthday. I don't want anything because it's not fun. I can't celebrate. And the
Right.
thing is, like, you can. It's just a different type of celebration. So talk to me about that a bit. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, today's 2 years, you feel like celebrating?
Right. It's so crazy because, like, so last year I did notice that, like, everything was kind of a blur around my 1 year. So this year I was, like, hypersensitive to that and have been trying to, like, reflect. And I remember thinking, like, that same kind of thought, being like, getting out of rehab and being like, well, what am I going to do for my 1 year? Like, what, that's so, there's no way to celebrate. And like last year I had a soberversary party at Dave and Buster's and like had all my friends and family come and it was awesome. But this year it's almost like I've become, like, the universe humbled me real quick. And this year I'm able to, like, I'm in a space where I know that all of my loved ones have a lot going on in their own lives and stuff. So it's not that I don't want to celebrate my 2 year or anything, but I have, like, projects in the mix. So now, like, I have my stuff that I'm passionate about now. So it's not really like I need to stop I need to put my life on pause because I have to escape it to go celebrate. No, it's that I enjoy my life and I enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm going to continue doing it. So, like, today I'm just kind of, like, coasting through the day. I'm going back into work. And then tonight is actually my cousin's senior night for his hockey game. So all my family and, like, family friends are going. So it's kind of perfect because I'll get to, like, knock out two birds with one stone. Like, the old Brittany would want to steal the thunder and make it Brittany's hockey game, or, like, no one's going to that hockey game. We're all stopping what we're doing and it's my life. Like, let's throw up fireworks and have a party. But it's interesting to, like, see the change just in the past year mentally, how I don't want to do that. So, like, it's crazy because it's such opposite of what it used to be. So, like, yeah, now to celebrate, it's more like pushing forward in my life goals as instead of, like, running from the real world.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think you said one crucial thing here is that we used to, and I think that that goes a bit with the addict mentality of it always has to be all or nothing. So, you know, when something happens, you're like, you like celebrate, and you know, whether you do it big or not, we go all in usually, like, you know, using or whatever. But it's being in the present moment. So now it's like you are celebrating, but it's in every single moment. And no, it's there's no more like big fireworks, but you appreciate so much just being. And you know, I know that sometimes I sit and I'm like, wow, it's quiet. And just that of me not hearing the back and forth banter and oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that, or feeling the anxiety, just having calm, I'm like, that's amazing. You know,
Right.
I still have this thinking about like, well, I should celebrate it or do something with it, or well, now what I do is that I take out my journal and I write.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel amazing. And that for me really it compensates
Right.
because I am getting it out of me, but I'm not excessive doing it. And I don't feel like I need a celebration. I just feel like I need to acknowledge, because for me it's still, you know, it's going to be 10 years this year, and it's still almost a revelation sometimes of like, wow, I'm not drinking. I'm really doing this.
Right.
You know, it's like I'm not getting used to it.
Right. Something that you said reminded me of something that, like, has happened over the past year for me. It was actually pretty recent, and It's been from like talking to people that are further along in their recovery, like you, and just like random people along the way have somehow like planted seeds in my head, and somehow like these, like you said, revelations have been coming into my mind. And there was like one specific day that I was like, hang on, I'm like running to get to success. Like I'm running to get there. Like I'm trying to go somewhere. And then I realized that like it's here now. Like I wouldn't be going anywhere else. So like it will be here that the success will be. And in that moment, it's like a light switch went off in my head, and I was like, oh my God, for some reason, like I can do all these meditations, I can listen to everything, read all the books, whatever. And everyone's always saying like the success has to be here, like with you now. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I get it. Like I really do. And it's like how we're acting now that, and it's like enjoying the horrible stuff, like finding the silver lining in things. And it's just unbelievable. Sorry, I cut you off.
no. I was cutting you off. No, it's the other cheesy saying that I've heard so often, and I was just like, oh, give me a break. Like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Like, I remember listening to that being like, oh my gosh, get a life. Like, the destination is so important. That's where you're going.
Right.
But yeah, I've learned to, sitting in moments like this and being like, wow, it feels good. That's the journey.
Right.
And it's so much, it feels like freeing when you start embracing that, because otherwise it's like you're always looking at the destination and when will I be there? When will I be there? How is it going to be when I'm there? This, that. It's all things you can't predict because you're not there.
Right.
So when you stop, it's good to have goals and have a destination, but it's just like when you drive and you put a destination in your GPS,
Mm-hmm.
You don't just keep looking at the destination, you look at the directions in between.
Right.
And you need to go through that to get to your destination. I know it's a silly example, but
No,
you said that and I just remember like that was such a cheesy saying when I used to hear that.
because there's all these crazy sayings like with the nonprofit, like a lot of like marketing material or just random like printouts that I have. I'm always like trying to think of different ideas of sayings. And I used to get so frustrated when people, like, you'd see a saying that's like positive vibes or like, don't worry, be happy. And it's like, how?
I know.
Those like signs that say that, like, it's all about the journey. And I really was always like, but how? Like, I don't get it. And it really, truly takes time for our brains to like absorb these new concepts and like accept them and then like practice them and appreciate them. So it's just so crazy.
I remember thinking, like, almost being upset with people who would post that, and I actually unfriended quite a few. This person is way too happy for me. So annoying, so annoying. Life cannot be this perfect. And the thing is, like, and I got those comments in the past 10 years, like, oh yeah, you always you always show a picture perfect life. And I'm like, but it's not. It's not. Like, I have the same bumps and tribulations as before. The thing is, like, now it's manageable because I'm clear-headed, because I'm healthier. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, I'm way healthier not drinking. When I get up in the morning, I don't pray the whole day that 9 o'clock at night comes. I actually like do stuff. Like, I remember so many mornings like getting up and being like, oh, can it be night? I just need to go back to bed.
Literally, I was like at 3 in the afternoon sometimes just to like be done.
Exactly. So there's still some stuff, but it also depends, like, what do you want to focus on? Do I want to write a post on social media when my husband just told me something that completely pissed me off? Like, am I going to put like, he's such an idiot? No.
Right.
Does it mean that I'm not going, and he's not, but does it mean that, I'm not going through it? Yes. It doesn't mean that. It just means like you choose what to focus on, and I choose not to focus on these parts.
Right.
Like, there are moments that happen and I lived it in the moment, and I'm really like leaving it there. Like, I'm not So that's, yeah. So I didn't know we would talk about that today, but it's really about living in the moment.
Right. Yeah, it's weird because I used to like it's always, I've noticed if I start listing things out for myself, that's when we got a problem. Because I used to like list off in my head like all the horrible things that had just happened that week to like justify the reason why I feel how I feel and why I'm behaving, and it's like just not it's not rational to think like that at all. And so
No,
now to have a different outlook on things, like in my darkest moments, again, sounds cheesy, but in my darkest moments, truly, I have found some of the most genuine, pure connections in this journey when I was like so screwed, like so sad at the bottom of the ground, just like, help. And like people like you are just like, come here, like get up, let's go. And like it's unbelievable. But to know that I would spend all that energy to think about each bad thing that happened, and I kind of just like learned from everybody to put the same energy into finding the good, and you will.
there is all, well, first of all, if you get up in the morning, that's already there. You should be like, I woke up and I'm here. And I know that for me, it used to be almost a curse. I was just like, another day. Now I'm like, yes, another day, like
Right?
completely different. And I'm going to bring up something here, Brittany, that you don't know, but you will receive them because it's your gift for 2 years. But I just launched some journals
Oh,
that I absolutely love. Yeah. So this is all my writing. I use it every single day. Um, but it's funny because I wanted a journal because I was writing just an aligned book. And I called it I'm Doing This for Me because it's true. I was doing it for me.
yeah.
So,
Dog, that's true.
yeah. And I'm doing that for my morning routine. You can do it at night as well. But basically, and I was talking with someone else in the sober community as well who was asking me, well, what is journaling? So I decided to make one. I'm explaining it at the beginning of like how to journal, and I give prompts and all of that. But it's quite simple. Like you write today's date, you write 3 things that you're grateful for, and you can actually do it in the morning and then at night if you want, or just once a day, or once every 2 days. But I really suggest to do it every day, especially the gratitude part, because you train your brain to really see what's good. So at first, I know that, when I started that years ago, I was just like, I was always writing, I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my kids. And at first, actually, I needed 3 gratitudes. I have 3 kids. So I was just like, I'm grateful for this one. I'm grateful because I didn't feel like I have much. Now it's just like, I'm like, okay, I can only pick 3. What is it going to be today?
Right,
But,
right.
and you can pick 20 if you want. And then you write your affirmation for the day. And again, I gave you examples at the beginning, but the affirmation for the day, that too is really, really important. And that sets your day. Let's say you would write the affirmation, which I suggest you never do, like, my days suck and I'm not good at anything. Well, you will follow that the whole day. If you write like, I deserve success, I deserve abundance, I'm a lovable person, well, you will walk around thinking like, I am so lovable today. So it's just good. And then I just wrote, I want to share. So that's, you journal. And some people ask me like, well, what do you journal about? What do you write about? Honestly, you start writing and it's going to take you where it needs to go. And sometimes when I don't, I put prompts at the beginning of like, what you can write about if you have no idea. But sometimes when I don't know what to write about, I'll just write, let's say, oh, I made a live with Brittany today, and then I start going like, and I felt like this, and when she said this, and so just let yourself go. This is just a way of taking what's in your brain and putting it on paper. It's a way to remember, because after you can keep them, you can burn them if you want. You do whatever you want with it after. But it's a way to remember as well. It can be your to-do list. you know,
Yeah.
when one day, if you just want to get it out of your brain and stop thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed about this, write it down. And even that, sometimes when I write stuff like, I am so, well, I'm getting a tooth extracted
Ooh.
in an hour.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It was next week, and I was mentally preparing for that. And then she called me. She's like, "We just had a cancellation. You want to come?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I guess.
Anyway, so I wrote about that. I wrote like, "Oh my gosh, I hope I'm not gonna start crying in the chair."
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I also write about, it's important that I don't take painkillers after. And
Yeah.
that too, different school of thoughts, but I know that I have I like mind altering things.
Mm-hmm.
I was addicted to more than one thing in my life. So I know that even if my tooth would not hurt, I would take some. And so I'm like, no pain medication. It's local anesthesia, so they're not giving me any gas or anything, So it's just like, so I wrote about that. And
Yeah.
that journal is for you. It's not for someone to read. And when I started journaling, my big issue was is that I was trying to make everything, perfect, readable, as if it was a book that I would sell. It's not that. It can be like, you write a sentence about my tooth, and then the next sentence is like, oh, my cat is so cute, and then the next sentence is like, I love my life with Brittany. It doesn't even have to, all make sense. And I made another one is a darker color.
I
So
love these so much.
yeah, well, they're coming, girl.
Yes, thank
I
you.
was hoping they'll be there today, but Amazon said no. So So if you want some, they're in my bio. And if you have any questions on them, like DM me. I love them. And I really did it for me, so I love them.
And journaling and writing the gratitude list have impacted me. Like, that was the first step of me trusting kind of the process, because I could see the transformation, like in my thoughts, just doing gratitude lists. And I'm glad that you mentioned like the daily affirmations, because I had been slacking on doing like morning time stuff, and like you bring that all up. Just, we always hear like random things that it's like, all right, get back to the basics here. So I'm really excited about the journal, because it'll like ground me and put me back to where I need to be to like feel my best.
Well, you know what? I started actually putting it in my day timer. I call it my morning routine. And I have 3, 4 things. But if anything, like I take the time to write it. And when I skip it, because I go back into my old ways of like, oh, don't really need to do it. I will make a point during the day at some point to write.
Right.
Or at night before bed. But and that is a big part of me letting go of. It doesn't need to be perfect, and it doesn't need to be at 8 in the morning, because usually like if it wasn't at 8, I wouldn't do it, and I would be like, well, miss the opportunity, so let's do it tomorrow.
Right.
But yeah, letting go of like perfection and just doing it. And if you really skip a day, it's okay.
Right. Get
You
back.
just
It goes back like our perfectionism, because it'll be like, oh, I skipped a day, I guess it's all over, I might as well burn the thing. And it's like, oh, just do it again. If you skipped a week, just open it back up. It's not going anywhere. It's not mad at you. So
yeah, well, you say that and I laugh, because I have like notebooks that I was just like, this is going to be my notebook for, let's say, my gratitudes this month. And then if I would skip a day, I would be like tossing the notebook.
Yeah.
Have to start a new one.
That energy.
I know. I'm like, I clearly, like, this is not perfect because there's going to be a few days missing. Let's start all over again. But anyway, I'm not sure that that's very healthy, but we all have our things.
Right.
But I can tell you that I did miss 2 days in there, 2 separate days. And I was just like, no, just keep going. I'm filling every single page. And yeah, so it's cool. And they're not big. And that too is one of my things, because I like changing books.
Yeah.
And I like having a new one. So it's going to take me like 90 days to fill this, and then I can change it.
Perfect.
But I will finish it.
Right. Yes.
So anyway, so Brittany, what would you leave people with today?
Um, hmm. Yeah,
For those of you who just joined us, it's Brittany's second anniversary of sobriety. Yeah, I know.
yeah, I would say like just always like for me in my recovery, it's been a lot of like interpreting what people say as like not necessarily the words that they're saying, but like the end result feeling that they're trying to express. Because a lot of times it's very confusing for people who aren't in recovery to say the right things. And like, even still, I have like nothing personal family, but like I have a couple family members that will say things. I'm like, but people don't know. It's like if they were raised at a different time. So it's like if all of a sudden my generation was told like the sky's green, it would take a second for them to understand. So I feel like getting past that frustration is huge. And just looking for the signs everywhere in the good in things. Yeah, those are like my biggest things that have helped me along the way, because no matter how hard or sad or depressing things get, or it seems like a rain cloud's just following me around, there's still been so much beauty in each of those moments. Whether I notice it that day or the next day, I'm still able to see like the absolute goodness in people, and it restores my faith in humanity. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, and I'm so happy to be a part of the recovery community, and I'm so happy I met you and to have you in my life.
Same here. And just keep in mind that, we're not pretending that sobriety is a constant party. It's
Right.
the best thing you can experience because you will experience your life, but you will also experience your sadness. You will also experience when it sucks and when you feel helpless. You will have to sit through it and experience it instead of numbing it.
Right.
But it's so much better because we need the two opposites in everything. So to be super happy, you will need to be sad at some point, because if you don't know what sad is, you won't know what happy is. So it's just the difference in sobriety is that you live those emotions. And I remember one of my first heartbreak, I should say, and it wasn't a separation. I'm just saying one of the first things that broke my heart when I was sober, when I finally got through it without drinking, I was just like, wow, I'm powerful. I did that on my own. You start being so proud of yourself and realizing that you can do it. I started drinking at 12, so I didn't really know what these things without numbing it is to go through. So it's pretty rewarding actually when you're going through, but it doesn't mean that your life will become perfect, unfortunately.
I will say that it was scarier and more like terrifying feelings trying to escape and not feel them. It's almost like if you're like really anxious about going to like a birthday and you're like, oh, I almost don't want to go, and like you're freaking out about it, and then at the end of it you had a great time. It like that's kind of how it was for me. Like I was running away from like these horrible, horrible, terrifying feelings, and then like once I just surrendered and just gave up, like, yeah, that pain will catch up with you, but like you're in a different zone to like process it and like rationalize. So yeah, it's like you said, it's not like all rainbows and butterflies in recovery. Like life still happens, but it's not as scary and it's a lot less work, kind of.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brittany. And you know what? We celebrate you and we're proud of you and we love you, and keep going. And in a year, we'll do your 3 years here. And yeah, and everyone, join us next Wednesday. It's Wednesday every 11 a.m. EST. I do these